Music, sponsored by Independent Hype and powered by The Hook Entertainment. Contribute to the conversation by using hashtag iLive5x5.
For the latest and greatest in soul music and more, stay tuned to iLive Radio throughout the week.
Connect with our team at iliveradio.com or follow us at iLive Radio across social platforms.
The number one hit music station.
You're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, guys.
Happy Saturday. Welcome. How are you doing this week, Nicole?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I had a great week. It was very entertaining and interesting. I had some great meetings. And, I'm very excited about the year. So it's been, a great week. We saw inauguration. Mm-hmm. That was interesting too as well. So
yes.
That was an interesting change, and we'll see what happens with even the relationship with Canada and the U.S. going forward, and
Definitely.
how that can change our economy, and it can affect, everything that we've discussed in the wealth effect.
Definitely. So definitely excited. We have an amazing guest, Samantha Brooks. We're going to bring her on a little bit later. But at this point as well, we just wanted to really just shake it up and talk about, great things happening in the world and how it affects, the inauguration, which is one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into some news and just say how these things have affected us and how they affect. Just shake it up and talk about, great things happening in the
It's delayed,
world
but it's
and
okay.
how it affects.
So the great things that are happening. So let's
inauguration,
talk
which is
about
one
Bank
big
of
thing.
Canada.
But let's get into some news and
Bank of
say how
Canada.
these things have
Bank of
affected
Canada
us
is
and
holding the
how they affect
the interest rates.
talk about
Yes. So we're on delay, but it's okay. So the great things that are happening. So let's talk about Bank of Canada.
But let's get into some news and
Bank of
say how
Canada.
these things have
Bank of
affected us
Canada is
and
holding
how they affect
the interest rate.
talk
Okay.
about,
Yes. So Bank of Canada said they're going to hold. So the great things that are happening. So let's talk about Bank of Canada.
But let's get into some news.
Bank of Canada and Bank of Canada holding the interest rate. Okay. Yes. So
you know what? Let's just
So Bank of Canada said they're going to hold.
it.
So the great things that are happening. So let's talk about Bank of
Jason
Canada.
and I. Let's get into some news.
Bank of Canada and Bank of Canada.
What it is, how they
That's
affect
the interest rate.
So
Okay.
just bear with
Yes.
us. We are
So
having
so
let's just
so Bank of Canada said they're going to hold. So the great things that are happening. So let's talk about Bank of Canada.
If you hear anything like
Bank of Canada and Bank of Canada.
what it is, how they affect
That's the interest rate.
So
Okay.
to try to bear
Yes.
with us, we
So
are we don't want to
so Bank of Canada said they're going to hold.
literally,
So the great things that are happening. So let's talk about Bank of Canada.
if you hear anything like around with us, but I just want to kind of let you know what's happening in the back
Yes.
end.
So
But yeah, with the
so the
interest
great
rate,
things that are happening. So
why
let's talk
are
about
just
Bank of Canada.
if you hear anything like around with us, but a lot of us, I just want to kind of let you know what's happening in the back end. Yeah, the rates being developed. However, yeah, with the interest rate, why
So let's talk about Bank of
if
Canada.
you hear anything like around with us,
That's very
I just want to
interesting.
kind of let you know what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, the
So
rates being developed.
would have been.
Yeah, with the interest rate,
Because let's talk about part of the thing is like
yeah, the rates being developed.
would have been.
Yeah, with the interest rate,
Micro. Because let's talk about part of the thing is
yeah, the rates being developed.
would have been.
Yeah, with the interest rate,
Micro. Because let's talk about part of the thing is yeah. So Bank of Canada.
yeah, the rates being
So Bank of Canada about raising rates.
yeah, with the
Or keeping rates. Anyway, part of the thing. So what's interesting is that so Bank of Canada raised rates and inflation goes up. But the thing about it is that inflation so bank is very an interesting way of determining rates. Part of the thing. So what's interesting is that so Bank of Canada raised rates and inflation back. But the thing about the pandemic and inflation. So you won't be very interesting way of determining rates. Part of the rates will go up. They went down really fast. They can go up. The thing is,
You know, where we really are as far as, you know, just simple things like that basket of goods. But you know, as we talk about with inflation and the interest rates, that I wasn't personally thinking we were going to have a micro cut. I thought they were just probably going to hold firm, which is exactly what they've done. Bank of Canada kind of stated that maybe for the remainder of 2021 that the rates would remain constant.
Yeah.
But again, people have to remember the Bank of Canada rate is different than the actual bond yields, which
Yes.
then also determine the fixed mortgage rates.
Yes. And the bond yields didn't really move this week from last week. So they've been kind of staying really monetary, like very steady at where they are. They're really, really low. So I guess in that sense, we don't anticipate rates going up anytime soon. So, you know, it's a good idea to like continue to assess your situation to determine what you want to do. Because, you know, the market's very hot. Like I just went through a situation, one of my clients in a bidding war, the price was listed for $850, Nicole. Now take a guess what the house went for.
So the house, okay, what area? Let's talk about
It's in Stouffville.
Stouffville, okay. Yeah. So Stouffville's, you know, really bubbling city.
Single car garage. 4 bedrooms. Ravine lot. So it's nice. Okay. So I'll give you that.
Okay, so
$850 bidding war.
Okay, bidding war.
Or sorry, no, $799 it was priced at. My customer assumed it was gonna go for $850.
Okay.
So that's what they went into. What do you think the house sold
for?
So
they offered $850.
Yeah.
It was already aggressively, or it was already priced at $799.
64 offers. 64 I'll help you with that.
Registered offers. Wow.
64 registered.
So
offers.
I would say maybe 1.2, 1.1.
Yeah, 1.2.
Oh, 1.2.
So 400,000 over the list price.
The list price. Wow.
That's crazy.
This is the reality of where we are, and this is in Stouffville.
Yeah. So it's, you know, to be honest with you, it puts it's a question, you know what? Maybe we even can ask our guest when she comes on. Like, how do you handle that when you're advising a customer, no conditions, and look at that spread. You know, as a mortgage agent, I worry about the appraisal when it comes back to that. But
yes.
That's like the very unique thing in the situation and the market we're on today,
yes.
And how we can prepare people. So I always like to say, like, it's very important to stay within your budget.
Correct.
Because that's what it's gonna change how you react and how you handle your situation, right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting that part when, you know, it's $400,000 over asking.
So when you had just mentioned being, you know, sticking to your budget, why is that important? Because as mortgage agents, we see it all the time. People fall in love with the house. You know, they offer sometimes outside of their capacity as far as what their budget is.
Yeah.
What happens if now the appraiser comes in and says the house is worth $900,000? Just run us through what that would look like.
Well, if in that case, you know, the customer is approved to put 20% down, so they're gonna get a mortgage. You know, they're gonna put $180,000 down, and then from there they're gonna have a mortgage of $720. If the appraisal comes back at $900 and you paid $1.2, you're gonna have to come up with a $500,000 deposit or down payment on that house.
Yeah.
So that's where no conditions and the appraiser can affect really what you end up with, right?
Yeah,
so it's very important. So let's go on, and now that we're on that, and because of that increase of what I was just talking about, what my client was going on, there was an interesting article. You know, CMHC's worst case scenario, nearly a 50% drop in housing prices.
Yes.
That's kind of very scary. So what jumped up to you when you heard that?
Yeah, so when I first saw it, you know, we always see headlines. It's all about the headline, right? It's like, wow, 50% drop in housing. I'm like, nah, I don't believe that. Don't believe it. Don't think it's going to happen. But then when you really delve into the article, you realize that they're not necessarily saying that it will drop. They're just kind of giving us scenarios of what happens if it does, right? So I think they went through 3 different scenarios.
Yeah.
And, you know, what were the best case and the worst case situations as a result?
Yeah, so they went through the scenarios, and I'll go through them. So there's the baseline, and so then there's a U-shaped recovery, which would be like moderate, and that's when they anticipate that the peak to trough housing prices would go down 33.9%. And then they talk about the W-shaped recovery, government support, which is a very severe situation, They're talking about 31.8% drop. And then they're talking about this is interesting. W-shaped recovery with government support and a cyber attack, which I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I was like, when I saw cyber attack, I was like, what are they?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
They called a drop of 36.82%. And then they're saying W-shaped recovery without government support and very severe. That's the 47.9%. So the 50% drop is basically saying that we're gonna go through a severe situation that we've been dealing with the pandemic, plus a cyber attack, plus no government support. That's the way it's written. So we have to be careful when we look at these articles because they jump out at us with the headlines like, oh my God, 50% drop. But that's a real worst case scenario. So don't pay attention to the headlines too much. You got to read these articles and get in because that's a very interesting situation.
Yeah.
So I guess the next topic we want to talk about is city looking to fill the missing middle.
Yes. And that's important because what's happened here is essentially, from a big perspective, is, people are feeling left out. People are feeling like they're losing opportunities to get in. What happens to people who maybe have property, want to maybe do some development, and or just perhaps can't even afford, right? So Toronto is looking to fill missing middle housing needs through the East End pilot. So there's a pilot that is going to be coming underway. And what they're basically saying is they're looking at ways of how they can strategically assist, existing homeowners or developers, but specifically around creating opportunities for that missing middle, like because people are feeling
left out, because everyone's seeing these prices like go up significantly. And at the end of the day, part of this is the government needs to come in and assist. But there's an issue. The government is not necessarily building housing.
Correct.
They're not developers. They're not sometimes even landowners in certain areas and neighborhoods. So a key, when you read the article, it's like, what can the city do to help encourage the public, developers, even an individual with a house, to add housing stock, but make it affordable?
Exactly. So just a little snippet that I'm, taking from the article. So it is being spearheaded by the Beaches East York councillor, Brad Bradford. The pilot follows Toronto councillors adopting the Expanding Housing Options in Neighborhoods, EHON for short form, which is basically the city's planning department, which went through the past summer, which is looking at expanding housing options in the Yellow Belt for making way for a wider variety of homes and increased density in neighborhoods across the city by increasing housing such as duplexes and low-rise walk-up apartments to meet the needs of the ever-growing city. So I think this is a great thing. The only thing that I would say like that would be I'm not saying of a concern, but I would say is, these individuals that are putting forth these pilots and these projects, there has to be a balance between profit as well as a social piece.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what happens is they will use social policies
really
for the end stake of being profit.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that doesn't become?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the city. If they want to promote it, they have to figure out ways how to make builders whole.
Yes.
Because what's the incentive to me to take on the risk as a builder?
Yes.
If I'm not going to be made whole on my project, or if I'm not going to make money. So there has to be some sort of incentive. So what it is it has to be a private partnership, right?
Yes.
So I read a quote from here is like, the best way to move the needle on something like the missing middle is to have tangible, demonstratable examples for people to get a look and feel at what the change might look like.
Yes.
So it's easy to shoot down these ideas, fear mongering when they're abstract, but when they're real and when you could see them, you really get to assess the project on its merits.
Yeah.
It's about engaging with the community in discussion and doing the work to bring people along. So I like what the counselor is saying, and that's Councillor Bradford, who's from that ward in the East End that is looking to push this motion forward. So that's a lot of good things, like and like let's step away from real estate a little bit, because we like talk about
Yes.
wealth as well. So Bitcoin's been in the news a little bit, right?
Definitely.
And I know a little bit about it, but there was one thing that happened this week that I read, and I'm just gonna pull it up. But Bitcoin did a 230, I think it was $1 million transfer.
Wow.
And you worked at the bank, and how much do you think that transfer costs? Like if you're in the bank and you're moving that kind of money.
So you mean as far as their
transfer from one party to the next party.
So and how much was it?
230 million.
230 million.
Yeah.
So knowing these banks, I would say at minimum maybe a 1% fee.
Yeah.
So maybe I would say 1.3 million was their fee.
No, it was $3.
That's it.
So this is what people are talking about, why the cost of Bitcoin and why Bitcoin and the transfer could be so unique because of the cost, right? Because of the intermediary, taking away the bank or the middle person, right?
Yes.
So the thing is with me is like I'm interested in it and I want to learn a lot about it, but the thing about it is it's the volatility.
Yes.
So if you think about it, if I wanted to buy my house, and the way we buy houses now, we put an offer today, and let's say I wanted to buy it in like Bitcoin or whatever, and I don't close for 90 days, how do I ensure my price? Like, what do I do with the volatility? Do I lock in my price, hedging, or do I, what else? What do I do? Like, or do I have to hedge because I have to lock it in? What happens if it goes up or it goes down, and then you can kind of say so.
Very interesting perspective, because I did hear something similar with individuals who were instead of taking their fees in cash, they were taking fees in Bitcoin, but it's the same thing. Perhaps when you started a project, the value of the Bitcoin was one thing versus by the time you've ended the project, are you then, in the same spread? So I look at it to say similar to, the oil and gas industry. They do hedge their bets, right?
Yes.
Because when you're looking at a lot of these oil companies, yes, we see Shell, we see what their price is, and we think of, okay, that's what their, there obviously is profit and margins, but they are literally giving you those prices based on fuel that they've already purchased, or oil they purchased years, and contracts they made years in advance.
Yes.
So to your point about buying a house and hedging, you would have to hedge.
You have to
like
hedge.
That would be the only smart thing in my perspective in doing, right?
Well, I guess that's what futures contracts are for, right? So
Yes.
you know what, guys? I'm sorry, I got to be correct. I was wrong. 455 million Bitcoin was transferred for just 25 cents.
25 cents. I'm here thinking it's about 1%, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of how the bank typically operates. And I'm like, oh, at least maybe 1% fee, right?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So you know what we got to do on that? We're going to bring on a Bitcoin expert. We're going to have to find someone. So if someone's out there, a Bitcoin expert, hit me up.
Reach
us. I do want to talk to you guys about that. So that's very interesting. And like, as we get into the next segment, we're going to bring on a special guest.
Samantha Brooks, amazing woman, doing great things in the city. Not only in the city, she's actually one of the forerunners, in my opinion, in this whole real estate mortgage industry within the country. Great wealth of knowledge. It's definitely excited to reconnect with her, and just give her the opportunity to drop some gems, and also talk about her amazing event that is coming up. Date with real estate. And
you're participating in that, right?
I am. I'm one of the guest speakers, so I'm excited for this. It's actually starting this Friday. So it's running. It's a weekend event. So this Friday and Saturday, we will definitely give you more details as to what that is going to look like. So we are excited to welcome her on. And again, we want to thank you guys for your patience and sticking with us. The Wealth Effect. We did have a bit of technical issues initially this morning, but we are sailing. And again, we want to thank you for sticking it out with us as well.
Yeah. So this is the Wealth Effect with Jason Allen John and Nicole Williams.
Yes.
And we thank you for joining us. And, we're looking forward to the next segment.
Definitely.
Hey, this is Emily King, and you're listening to iLive Radio.
The internet's #1 on the World Wide Web. iLive Radio.
You're listening to iLive Radio. This is Jay Most. Enjoy.
How you doing? What's good? It's Nkechi the Lyrical, sitting in my zone here, vibing and listening to iLive. And if you don't know, get to know. And if you do know, you don't know. And if you know, then relax and enjoy the ride.
Attention à tous les musiciens, groupes, associations, clubs et organisations qui représentent les styles collectifs de musique à travers la Canada. Le moment est venu de reconstruire nos genres des nations musicales collectives comme le hip-hop, le R&B, le jazz, le soul, le reggae, le gospel et plus unis. La Nation de la musique collective est une organisation à but non lucratif engagée dans le développement de la musique collective. Des adhésions gratuites sont disponibles dès maintenant. La Nation de la musique collective, une seule voix, la force dans l'unité.
Nothing makes you look, feel, and perform better than a tailor-made suit. Just like a tailor-made suit, a mortgage is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Canadian Tailored Mortgage Solutions will customize a mortgage to perfectly suit your needs. Come and get fitted for your mortgage today at 1-877-834-9346 or reach us on the web at ctmortgagesolutions.com. COVID safety protocols are in place. Brokerage license number 13228.
You're listening to iLive Radio.
Here are some words of wisdom. Don't change your station. Don't change your station.
Welcome back. Thank you guys for sticking with us. It is The Wealth Effect by CTMS, Canadian Tailored Mortgage Solutions, with your girl, Nicole Williams, and we have Jason Allen John.
Yes.
Excited for our first guest, actually our first guest.
Our very first guest.
We have the great Samantha Brooks with us.
Yes.
Okay, so Jason's going to share a bit of her bio as we bring her on.
Oh, okay. I'll get into that. Well, Samantha Brooks is the CEO and founder of Mortgage Canada's Inc., one of the fastest growing and most reliable mortgage brokerages in the country. She's leading a team of individuals with a depth of knowledge. She has, and her brokerage has done under $500 million in business. The process of sharing her professional knowledge and experience and showing others how to benefit her expertise is motivating to Samantha. She's a former contributor to Huffington Post, appears expert on various media outlets, including BNN, and is a sought-after motivational speaker. Let's welcome Samantha Brooks. What's up, Samantha? How you doing?
What's up, Samantha?
I'm good. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good. Thank you so much for your patience. Like literally, Jason and I are obviously not the technical people, but we are so thankful that you were able to stick around with us and to be here. Like we definitely appreciate you. You are our first guest. So are some of our trials and tribulations, you're kind of moving in with us. But nobody else that I would rather, go through this with as my first guest other than yourself.
Thank you. Oh, you guys, thank you so much for thinking of me, and no problem extending the hour. We're good. You can always make things work.
Yes. So Jason went through your amazing bio. And I think a lot of people in the city already know the amazing Samantha Brooks, and we're so blessed to have you. But we wanted to kind of go in and ask a couple of more icebreaker questions for those who may not be as familiar with you, right? So we wanted to just say, tell us 3 things about the amazing Samantha Brooks that people may not know. And this is about the younger Samantha Brooks, not Samantha Brooks as of today, but, as you were growing and just who you are as a child.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me just start with, this is a crazy question, because as soon as I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, really? You guys are going to be shocked to know this. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually an introvert.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm actually an introvert. I was an introvert since I was a kid. I was always wandering, kind of just by myself. I like to be by myself, just quiet. It's funny because I don't know, I did things, and I had to be in front of a lot of crowds, but I was always terrified initially until it was time for me to execute. But I was a big introvert, and but
that is surprising to me, to be honest, because from the first moment that we've met, it has always been like wow. And maybe it's my personality as well, because I'm just like one of those, oh my gosh, kind of people. And I felt that you've always reciprocated that same form of energy. So I am surprised.
Okay, so I do have a lot of energy now. What happened was a couple of years ago, I think it was 2016, a friend's husband came to me and he's like, you really should do some YouTube stuff. And so I started doing that, and I didn't want to. And I'm like, I am not putting myself out there. Are you crazy? I just want to run my business. And I was just so shy. And he's like, listen, if you're going to do this, if you're going to run your business, you're going to have to put yourself out there. And that's when I was like, okay, fine. I did it once when I was running track, and I'll do it again. I kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, fine, I'll jump off the bridge and let's do this thing. And immediately it was like so fast. And I'm like, I want my quiet life back. But once you're out there and it just keeps snowballing. Right. So, I'm a total introvert.
Something about track is, so you were back in the day, I guess you were a track athlete? Or?
Yes, I was a sprinter, and
hey.
And so is her daughter. Her daughter's amazing.
Yes, I see. Yes, I see that your daughter. So tell me about that. Tell us a little bit about that. And I'm going to add to that a bit. Has that added into who you are, like as a entrepreneur, that track life?
Oh my goodness, track has everything to do with my success.
Yeah.
Like, I know this 150%, and I try to tell the athletes, don't just think it's just about track. Mm-hmm. When you have to go through training, we start off at a younger age, maybe 2-3 days a week. And then that increases when you go away to school, and you have to be dedicated to this thing, and you're not seeing progress. You're constantly like training. And there's like very little progress. You're taking off like maybe 0.01 seconds. And you're like, yay, I got a PB. It doesn't do anything. But you know what? You're striving for something bigger, even though it takes much longer. It takes a lot of work. So that tenacity and that consistency and that determination is the same mindset that I've brought into the business. And that's why I don't stop, even though sometimes things look really messy, like it did during COVID. It looked messy when the rule changes happened. And I'm just like, this mess needs to stop, real quick, like with this industry. But, those things keep me going. And sometimes I don't want to keep going, but I'm just like, you know what? When I ran track, I kept going. The only time I stopped is whenever I was injured.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing now. I look at it as the only time I'll stop working or running my business is if I'm sick. And that's why it's important for me to stay healthy. So it's, track has everything to do with my total success.
Yes, great. And then I guess share one other thing that maybe we wouldn't have known about the younger Samantha.
Oh, are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I used to stutter.
Wow.
I used to stutter. Yes, like really bad.
Oh,
it's a family thing. So,
I would never guess, never ever guess that. I think a lot of us sometimes from, when you're shy, you maybe retreat yourself in. Maybe that's perhaps why you were so introverted as well. I don't know, but I can't believe that. So how did you overcome that?
So that was something, because it was like so frequent. I'm just like, okay, Sam, you got to fix this. Mm-hmm. And I took it upon myself to actually start learning about people who stutter, why they stutter, just did the research and what they did in order to overcome stuttering. And I just started practicing by myself and slowing down my speaking, just mentally slowing down my thoughts before I would actually produce the words. And it worked. Yeah. And now I'm okay. Sometimes I'll slip up here and there, but overall it's pretty much gone. And people don't know that. I'm a stutterer. My family stutters. My brothers stutter. But
I like when you said that you thought about the words. I like that, because it's you're really training yourself to be okay, girl, let's slow this down. Yeah.
That's exactly what has to happen before I speak. And so, because what would happen before is that my thoughts were moving faster than I could actually get the words out, right?
It's funny that you say that, because when I was in elementary school, teachers always used to say oh, you think faster than you write. So that's interesting. And I guess the thing that I'm noticing that you're very self-aware of like, you know, of the things in your life and yourself and about that, to know and to take with that, to become a better person. And that takes a lot.
Yep.
It does. It does. It's one thing I've always, for myself, I've always just wanted to be better. I've always wanted more. I didn't ever want to just settle for what was just in front of me or what life had before me. I always saw a bigger picture. I always set goals because of track. I started running track at a very young age. So it's always like goal setting, goal setting, goal setting, goal setting. Once you hit that goal, set a bigger goal, right? So make sure it's almost unattainable, so that when you reach it, you set an even bigger goal. So that's what success and growth and progress looks like, right? So at a very young age, I knew that was happening, and I just ran with it.
Yeah. You know, that what you just said kind of leads into my other question, which is how and when did you know you were different? You know, we are on this entrepreneurial journey with you as well, and it does take a different type of person mentally to even think that they have the balls to be like, you know what, I'm doing this, you know, I'm gonna not rely on anybody, no 9 to 5, no knock to anybody who does, but it does take a different kind of person. What do you think was the biggest thing that contributed to that for you?
I can't even say there was like one big thing, but I did know I was different between the age of 8 and 10, just because, again, I was a wanderer. I was so curious. Like, I wanted to know everything, and I hated school.
Oh,
okay.
I hated school. I'm like, no, like I just didn't like it. I mean, I did well. I never really had to study. I had great grades, but I'm just like, I could care less about this. Like, I want to know other things. I want to know what I want to know.
Yeah.
And so I would go and seek the answers to the things that I wanted to know. And I was just like, this is interesting. And then I would lead. Like, when I started working, I noticed that they would always put me in like leadership positions, even when I was in high school. And I'm just like, what is going on here? But I'm like, clearly something is different about the way I approach people and situations, why I have become who I am.
Yeah.
So at a very young age, people, oh my gosh, I remember my boss said to me, I just remember this. My boss had said to me, no matter what you do, whatever you choose in life, you're going to be very successful.
Wow.
I remember him saying that to me. And then he made me like the team lead for all the high school kids at Weston's Bakery in Kitchener, Ontario.
I love that. Like, he spoke positivity into your life.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I tell people all the time, especially when you're in those early formative years, you know, the words that other adults speak into your children is sometimes much more impactful than the words that you as a parent speak to your child.
Yes, for sure.
You know, and that's amazing. I'm so happy that you were able to realize that, you know, people recognize the leader in who you are, and you're definitely a leader. I look at you as a leader in our industry and in what we do. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, Samantha is an amazing mortgage broker within Canada, actually runs and has her own brokerage.
Yeah.
You know, so let's maybe kind of segue into that as well. Like, what made you get into the mortgage business?
Oh, do you guys not know this story?
You know, I have heard it before,
Okay.
but you know, I do want the listeners to hear as well.
I don't know it,
And
so it's
Jason
fresh for me.
doesn't
So
know.
it's
Yeah.
Oh, Jason doesn't know it. Okay, well, Jason, just buckle up your seatbelt real quick, okay? So, so years ago, I was actually involved with a very wealthy individual, and he was my boyfriend for a little bit. Anyways, people knew, and someone took advantage of that situation. That was a friend, or somebody I thought was a friend, and they actually did identity theft on me. Yeah, so I was a victim of identity theft, and they were able to make off with about $66,000, depleted my accounts, everything. The only reason why I knew that this actually had happened was because the bank called me and said I missed my car payment. I'm like, there's no way. I have tons of money in my bank account. What you talking about? I'm rich. I'm 20 and I got money, girl. Anyways, no. So anyways, I had missed my car payment. I'm like, what? This don't make no sense. So when I looked, all my money was gone. And so I started looking even deeper, and then all these cards started coming in, and I didn't understand what had happened. I didn't understand credit. I just didn't know. Like, I was in my early 20s, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, my life is ruined. And then that's when I started once again trying to figure out how this happened, one. Two, what is credit? And why was this person able to financially ruin me the way that they did by doing the things that they did? And who's responsible? Is this illegal? Everything, right? But the police ended up calling me anyways. Anyways, long story short, what ended up happening, once I started realizing what credit could do for you, I'm like, I want to help other people who run into situations like me, because not everybody is going to be able to find a way out of this type of a mess. So let me get myself out of this mess. And then I'm going to help people to buy real estate, to build wealth so that they don't have to worry about all the other things. But let's start with the credit first. So I was like, okay, mortgages or real estate? Mortgages, real estate. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the mortgages, because when we're dealing with money, that is the most important aspect when it comes to real estate. You can't buy a property if you don't have money. So I'm like, let me be the mortgage broker who provides that money. So that's what I did. That's how I got into the industry.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that, if you don't?
That was 2001, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I always say no one grows up saying I want to be a mortgage agent.
No, they don't. No. No. It's not something you just you go to school for your whole life. Yeah. No.
It's not even the glorious side, right? And it's I feel like it becomes known later in life, because you always hear about a real estate agent because they're showing homes and stuff, but mortgages is like the unknown. So when and why did you start becoming open your own brokerage? Like, when did you want to be your own boss?
Yes.
Oh boy, you guys ask some really good questions. Jason, is your seatbelt still buckled?
I've been holding on tight.
Okay, so all right, here's this story. I was in a really bad relationship. I think a lot of people go through these. The partner that we choose, and I wish I had known this in my 20s, but the partners that we choose can literally destroy your whole financial future if you are not careful. So I started my company because I saw things that I obviously wasn't supposed to know about at the time. And it had happened more than quite a few times. And finally in 2013, I realized this is not going to get any better. I need to get out. And so I went on a cruise in January of 2014. I read the book, The Principles of Success by Jack Canfield. And by the time I got off that boat, I had started my business plan. I got off the boat within 24 hours, registered my business, did everything I needed to do. I had a whole plan, date executed for the time that I was going to be leaving my business, the company that I was working for. Wow. So I put down by May 17th, I wanted to be done with the job that I was at, May 17th, 2014. By May 10th, I was out of there.
Wow.
By September, the business fully launched. September 18th was my launch date. And since then, it's been a roller coaster. But my first, the first 2-3 years, obviously a lot of learning. You don't really know much, but you learn along the way. You take those lessons and you keep building on it. And I almost hit the mark in 2018, but that's because I learned so much about marketing, which is doing a fantastic job, by the way. Marketing is so important when it comes to business. If you're not putting money in, you're not going to get the money back out. Okay. So once I started to realize how much I needed to put in, I did that. And then I got the money back out. So I almost hit my 7-figure mark in 2018. And so it was a blessing. And then they changed the rules. And they changed the rules and everything's just been, I don't know what's happening in the trench for the last 2 years.
Yes. Wow, that's an amazing story. And I love the fact that, it was, started off with the book, you set the goals and you just executed. So what is your sign? What is your sign? Because those are things, is that something that is Samantha innately? I don't really buy into, that these things can really chart our course, but I am curious, what is your sign?
I have to agree with you on that, first of all. I'm not really into horoscopes, but I'm going to tell you what my sign is. You ready?
Yeah.
Fish, Pisces.
So you're
you're me. Okay.
It's interesting.
What are you, beginning or late Pisces?
Beginning.
The beginning. Okay. Very interesting. Okay.
So where they say, I don't know, we don't believe in this, but they say we're the nicest people in the world, right?
So you know what? I consider myself to be very loyal, genuine, loving. I give people tons of opportunities because I know everybody's like, I want people to make mistakes. Make mistakes. If you make them with me, I'll give you a chance to correct them, right? Try to be a better person because I would choose to be a better person.
Yes.
And that's what I kind of expect as just a human.
Yes.
Some people are just incapable of that. So they take advantage of your kindness. So I'm a little more, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm sometimes I don't tolerate nothing anymore. So I mean, I'm still very loving, but I don't tolerate as much. Like I just put up a wall and kind of keep you at a distance if you interfere with my energy. So
yeah.
But anyways,
well, that's something I will definitely echo. Like as I said, since I've connected with Samantha, it's been nothing but love, So I feel that energy, that Pisces energy running through.
Well, that's good. Like I guess you like Pisces, Nicole, keeping us around. So we're gonna go on a little break soon, Samantha, and then you know what? We're gonna get into this your event that's coming up, this digital event. So I guess that's that cue and that play on marketing. You must have caught up on some sort of trend that's happening in the world, and I want to learn more about this event so we could tell everybody about it. But also, I want to learn more about how you decided to get into that, and what made you want to enter into that online event space.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is a date with real estate. So when we're back, we will touch on that even further. Stay with us.
This is Adrena, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio, to radio, to radio, to radio, to radio.
Hey, this is Bay Bright, the bad boy indie soul, Bright Vision Entertainment CEO, and you're chilling, listening to iLive Radio. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it.
This is Cheryl Brooks, and you're listening to iLive Radio, supporting independent artists and their music.
Hello, I am Erica, and you're listening to iLive Radio with some of the best independent artists from around the world.
What up? It's your girl Shanaz, and you're listening to some of the best independent soul music from around the world with iLive Radio.
This is Miss Care keeping you connected with your iLive 5x5, brought to you by iLive Music, sponsored by Independent Hype, and powered by The Hook Entertainment. Contribute to the conversation by using hashtag iLive5x5.
For the latest and greatest in soul music and more, stay tuned to iLive Radio throughout the week.
Connect with our team at iliveradio.com or follow us at iLive Radio across social platforms.
You're listening to iLive Radio, www.iliveradio.com.
Okay, and we're back. We are back. Thank you guys for sticking around with us. Again, you are listening to The Wealth Effect by Canadian Tailored Mortgage Solutions with your host, Jason Allen John, and myself, Nicole Williams. And we are so thankful that we have our first guest, the amazing Samantha Brooks. And we're going to get into a date with real estate. So
yeah, before she comes back, why don't you talk about, you're going to be involved in it. So I know she's going to talk about why she created it, but talk about how you got introduced back to do this event.
Yes.
And tell me what you think you might talk to people about.
Yeah. So my involvement with the Wealth Effect, I'm going to be a part of the financing panel.
Okay.
So it's going to be great. It's going to be, my portion is this Friday. and we are just going to be talking to everybody about like how to finance real estate, you know, opportunities and things that maybe we're seeing that are a little bit different based on the current economy and current trends.
Yes.
And really just really educating the masses. Tickets are still available.
Okay.
You can visit Samantha's Instagram for the exact direct link. But, you know, let's have her kind of spearhead and introduce it and kind of really explain, because I'm curious to know as well how she had the foresight to create such an amazing event.
I'm going to say one thing before you start. When I saw you release it, Samantha, I was like, this was a great idea.
Great idea.
So,
yes.
So tell us about it.
Yes.
Okay, so can I just say first and foremost that the reason why I thought about this event was not just because of real estate. It was because of what was happening, the unrest in the US with George Floyd. So, and then seeing all those other things, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all these injustices that were happening in the US really triggered me deeply, just because I lived in the US. I have some of my family lives there. My boyfriend's American. So I have a deep connection. I have a lot of friends there with the US, and it bothered me so much because I'm like, it could be anybody's child that this is happening to. You just don't even know if you're driving down the street, it's gonna happen. So one of the things I when I was doing my research, of course, me researching always, I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I need a PhD, but anyways, me, I research everything. One of the things that I started to research was housing, because I started to want to understand, like, okay, so if this is happening, obviously there's a lot of poverty in the US, and it affects a lot of Black people, right? And then I started seeing the red lines, and I started to see more about the injustices that they were doing with Black people in housing, and how, what was it called? When they burned down, what is it called?
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street. And then there was Central Park. Like, there were so many different neighborhoods where there was like Black communities that were striving, and people came in and they started burning down these neighborhoods because these Black people were successful. Yeah. To me, I was like, oh, hell nah. Like, this is not right, right? And the thing is, some people, and I mean, again, I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario. So I grew up around a lot of, you know, people of the opposite color.
Yeah.
And sometimes people say, oh, she's, you know, washed, right? You guys know where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Okay, right. So the thing is, but they don't understand that I am still, like, I know who I am.
Yes.
Hence why I changed my hair.
Yes.
I don't want to be like every other Black girl out there. Mm-hmm. I want people to know that I know where I come from. I know who I am.
Yes.
So when it came to this whole George Floyd situation and this housing, the divide and the difference, I'm like, no, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. I have a social responsibility as a successful Black female business owner, mortgage broker, to get the knowledge out there for people to know how they can close the wage gap.
Yes.
By buying real estate. That is the reason why I did this. Now, did I want to do it online? Absolutely not. I was ready to invest my whole life into traveling the US and speaking on different platforms.
Wow, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
But because of COVID, it's starting out online. It's the first one. And it's funny, like, I've been, you know, gathering up my speakers and stuff. Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to actually teach people too is how they can buy across borders, because wherever there's land, there's opportunity for real estate. It doesn't have to just happen in this city. It can happen across the country. It can happen across the border. Yes. So I wanted people in Canada to understand you can buy in the US and the way you can do it. It may take some planning, but there's ways you can do it. And so I reached out to RBC. Do you know RBC came on as a title sponsor?
Wow.
Just last week.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations.
RBC came on the title sponsor because they believe in my mission and they want a longer term relationship. They want to continue to do this. So again, this is my first one, and I pray that this is this goes, like, I don't even care how many people come, to be honest with you. I just want the information out there so I can push it through social media, wherever it needs to be, use it and keep building it, right? Your first one is usually not as big as you would like it to be, but let me tell you, the second and third, when people start talking, it takes time, just like your business. The first year, you don't really do well. You do okay, right? The second year, you get bigger. The third year, you start popping off, right? Yeah. So then it just keeps right from there. So this is just the start. And my goal is to grow it, to continue to teach people how to close that wage gap and to build wealth in real estate. That's why this is called A Date with Real Estate.
I love it. Even the name is like so appropriate. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, like there was really some great thought that went into the marketing as we've been talking about, and how to even just touch the lives of people. To your point, this is greater than just mortgages, greater than just real estate. We're actually making an impact. And through this event, you're going to be helping to plant seeds in the lives of individuals that will help them to bridge that wealth gap that, you know, is so appropriate with the wealth effect that we have here as well, right? So I am extremely blessed and honored to be one of the key speakers, but we have some amazing, you know, the lineup is amazing. So did you want to maybe talk about the lineup, how you came about choosing people, and what people can expect outside of that as well?
Yeah, so I'll give you, so Nicole, obviously, I think you're one of the first people I actually reached out to, I'll be quite honest.
Thank you.
You're the first person I thought of, like Nicole Williams.
Yeah.
I want her on a panel with a bunch of men, and I want her to go out there and kick some butt. So that's, I was like, yeah, right? So there's yourself. I brought in Robert Malcolm, who's also from a bank up here in Canada. I have Sean Cooper, who's the author of Burn Your Mortgage. I have Egypt Sherrod, who is the host of HGTV's Flipping Out. I have Stevie Beggs, who is an actor who totally believes in real estate. He's done investing in real estate. He's on Ruthless, Tyler Perry's TV series called Ruthless. And who else do we have? We're just waiting for one more person to confirm. His name is Chris Jeffers, so we're just waiting for him to confirm. We have Alan Ferguson, I believe his last name is, and he's from Atlanta. He basically owns Atlanta. This guy. So we brought him in, and he's speaking on both days. So very exciting. Oh, and RBC. I forgot to mention. How could I forget RBC? RBC is actually speaking. So yeah, they're head of international housing.
Wow. This, honestly, I want to just say salute. Like, you know, congratulations, give you your roses, because just the lineup in itself, to know that you've secured the sponsorship through RBC, you know, you were thinking big and bold, and you actually did it. So I know this is just the first year, but I trust that this first year is going to launch this into being a mega event, you know, year after year. So again, kudos to you, Samantha, and anything and everything that you do will be successful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's an amazing thing. I think what's lacking is the knowledge, because I find that and I'm sure you find this as a mortgage professional too, that people come to us without any planning. Like they're like, I just want to buy a house, and then they just like buy a house like it's like I'm buying a shirt from Nike.
Yeah.
So it's good that I think our community needs to put some more planning and foresight to things that we're trying to do, so we can build that wealth, because we have a lot of opportunity. And you know, I'm sure you noticed it too. I see the people, I guess because of this Clubhouse app, I've been hearing a lot of conversations.
Are you guys not on Clubhouse?
I am not.
I'm on Clubhouse.
We are.
I've been very silent on Clubhouse.
I have 5 invites. So Nicole, when we're on here today,
you guys should go on Clubhouse before the event and just do something and promote. No, because to be honest with you, a lot of people are getting a lot of followers and attracting audience through there. And you could do it. You should do it, you know, Monday, because you will get people from the US.
Do you hear Jason? He's
you know?
creating
I'm creating it.
He's
so
creating something for us,
Monday
Sam.
night at 7 p.m. Nicole on Clubhouse. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, you guys should try it out. But some of the names that you mentioned, I've heard they've been in some rooms in Clubhouse. So that's why I've heard of those names. And just seeing some of the powerful things that the people down there are doing in the States, it's very inspiring. And we have,
especially that this is a Canadian lead, right?
Yeah, like for you to take that lead, because I find that a lot of the information that even my customers and people talk to us about, it's a lot of stuff that goes on in the States.
Yes.
So sometimes it's not applicable, but then knowing that you can invest and reach out there and take advantage of the opportunities that are in the States, like I know a wealth of people that would love to learn how to do that, because you see some of those prices and you're just like, oh man, like I want to go down there and I want to buy 10 houses for my down payment in Toronto.
Have you seen Detroit?
I know. Oh my gosh, yes.
So I actually have a real estate broker from Detroit who started off, she was a single mom. I can't remember how old she was. She started off by wholesaling. She became a multi-millionaire. She's a real estate.
Wow.
And
Detroit area.
She's speaking.
Oh.
Her name is Tamika. I gave her a main stage for her to tell her story and to teach you guys like how she did it. What are the programs that are available? Now she does a lot of like multi-unit and single family rentals. She's a wealth of knowledge. She is huge.
Yeah.
She's been doing it for 25 years now. She's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, I was like, oh, Tamika, I got to get this girl in there. And she's from Detroit. And she's like, oh, there's houses for sale for like $5,000, $10,000. They're burnt out, but you put a little money in and then you either rent it out or you sell it.
Yeah. These are the things that, so people, in addition to me being obviously one of the panelists, I will be picking up some gems. So you're going to catch me in some of these rooms, mixing and mingling and learning. So I know we are, 2 minutes out, so I don't want to, take up all the space. So any last words, Samantha, that you want to share with us about either the event, about yourself, or plug anything else that you are working on?
Well, I mean, this event is going to be ongoing. I'll probably have another one or two this year. It just depends on how much time I do have. And my book, as you know, Cash is Queen, is there. That's going to be back live again. Yes, we had some issues with it, but we're back. So all good. Should be up and live on the website this week when we activate again. And yeah, just if you guys need me, you know where I am. I am Samantha Brooks on Instagram and Samantha Brooks TV on Facebook. So if you guys need anything, holler at me. I'm there. I am the CEO of Mortgages of Canada. So if you guys are looking for me, I'm also there. So that's it.
So thank you for being our first guest, and everybody, go to that event. You got to check that out.
Yes, you guys got to check out the event. It's going to be outstanding. Outstanding.
I'm gonna be a student as well, so I'm excited for it. Definitely excited. And then maybe we can talk a little bit later about this Clubhouse thing.
You know what? I'm gonna invite you as soon as I get off the phone, Nicole. I didn't know you weren't on there. I'll find you and get you an invite. Okay.
Perfect. Again, thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode of The Wealth Effect. Definitely be sure to check out our date with real estate, and we will see you next week.
All right. Have a good day.
Enjoy, guys. Thank you so much.
Hello and welcome to the promo for Always Digging. My name is Jeff Skull, aka DJ Scully Funk. Every Sunday afternoon, my partner Gary, aka DJ Gaza Taylor, and I choose a theme and play our favorite songs that fit that theme. Tune in right here every Sunday from noon to 2 on iLive Radio.
Every Friday, take a trip around the world with music from around the globe. Colors of Rhythm with your host DJ Ron John. Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on iLive Radio, iliveradio.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody in cyberspace? This is The Groove Show with your boy, the crowd pleaser, DJ Mark Anthony. Don't forget, each and every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m., we want to put you in